All right. So we're going over just nutrition, kind of like the most broad nutrition, back to the basics. Some of this probably will be repeated for a lot of you guys, but I think it's always a good reminder, and the basics never get old. If we stick with these basics and have these habits built into what our, daily lives and daily meals look like on routine, you're good to go forever. The reason that, we have ups and downs is because life happens and we fall off of kind of these basics. So this is a good reminder. Maybe you'll learn something new. We kind of dive into eating for your hormones, eating for digestion. So this should be fun. All right. If you guys take a picture of the screen, screenshot it, post it on your story at any time, tag us. It helps us a lot more than you know. Thank you guys for all posting your little gym selfies and tagging us. It's so cute, so fun. We love it. That just adds traction to getting people in the door and starting to change their lives like you did. So, setting up your nutrition for success. All right, I'm going to ask a question. So, if you know the answer, just unmute yourself and pop in. 3 components to each meal. So, think about this. Setting up your plate. What do I always say are 3 things that should make up your plate?
Is it fat, carbs, and protein?
Very close. Very close. I knew somebody was going to say that, so I'm glad you did. Very close. Protein, carbs, and
Greens.
yes, a veggie. Yes. Beautiful. That's how we want to set up our plate. Protein, carbs, and either like a fruit or a veggie. I usually, put like a fruit in the morning. So a protein, a carb, and a veggie is how your plate should look at each meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whether you're going out looking at something to order on a menu. This is what we are looking for. Okay. This should make up the entire plate. And this, Journey said it, and we do want a fat source. Usually let's say the carbs, the rice is cooked in oil, or the veggies are sauteed in oil, or the protein source that you have already has fat in it, like salmon or steak or something like that. So that's why we don't need to necessarily always add a fat source to our meals. A lot of times it's already included. However, let's say you're cooking at home and made your rice, you boiled your rice in just water, you steamed your veggies, your broccoli in water, your broccoli in water, and then your protein is chicken, which has no fat. Then that's when we need to add some kind of small fat source. Maybe we add a side of avocado, or we add a tablespoon of olive oil, or a side of nuts or something like that. Okay, so but what we're always looking for, always trying to break up each plate, every single meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, is these 3 things: protein, a carb, and then either a veggie or a fruit. Keep your meals simple. This is a huge thing that I think I'm going to start preaching a little bit more, because I get a lot of clients that, come in and the first thing they want to do is start looking up crazy recipes, which that's awesome. And if you like cooking and baking and chefing it up and making these, high protein lasagnas and soup and whatever, all that, cool, that is great. Make sure you're not looking at that, as like a requirement. You do not need to burn yourself out. I am no chef. I don't think I can make one dish, like I have no idea how to make any kind of dish. I know how to make my veggies. I like to roast my veggies or put them in the air fryer. I know how to make rice or bake some potatoes, and I know how to cook some veggies and chop up some fruit. That is what you need to know and to do, and that's really going to help you the most. Down the line, once you're comfortable and confident in exactly what you should be eating, the foods that make you thrive, once we get your digestion and bloating handled, and that's not a big issue, and you're very fluent in tracking macros, that's when we can totally get creative and get fun and add these things and whatnot. But keeping it simple is going to be the best bet, in order to knowing what you're eating, knowing how much of what you're eating, and that you're hitting your goals, and just to be able to see the most progress. There's no need to find crazy new recipes every week. With that being said, you can absolutely eat different foods every single day and every single week. You can switch up your protein source, but again, just building a plate, so for breakfast, a protein, a carb, and a veggie or fruit. That could be eggs scrambled with cottage cheese, a carb as, a side of overnight oats, and then a banana as your fruit or whatever. And, so on and so forth, that we can see each ingredient. So 80% of your foods should be whole foods. That's for the entire day. But how can we make sure that we hit the entire day? is by looking at each meal. So each meal should be 80% whole foods, meaning like less nutrition labels, right? Less barcodes, less ingredient lists, because we should be able to see the whole foods right in front of us on the plate. Eat different colors of the rainbow. I always like to say, I think 2 veggies and 1 fruit per day is a great place to start. If I have any clients that are, dealing with kind of food quality issues, or we're not really getting veggies or fiber or minerals and vitamins from our foods, try to eat different colors of the rainbow when you're going shopping in the grocery store. Get a red pepper, get an orange, get a yellow banana, get green kiwis or whatever, okay? All right, meal timing. Stick to an eating schedule. This is also I think it's more underrated than it should be. Stick to an eating schedule. Eat your breakfast within 30 minutes of waking up. Have your last meal within 2 hours, or at least 2 hours before going to bed. And just stick to a routine, especially if you're somebody who gets caught up in work and, sucked into your computer. You're super productive, or you're a nurse and you're on your feet running around all day, and you notice that having meals is hard. You need to create some kind of schedule, and there needs to be a 12 o'clock is my lunchtime, or 1:30 is my lunchtime, and I have my lunch at that time every day. 7:30 is my dinner. I have that at the same time every day. And of course, it doesn't need to be a huge stressor. Obviously, if you're 30 minutes difference, that's okay. But really committing to that, especially if getting your food in is an issue. Minimal snacking and grazing. Again, this is kind of back to the basics. 99% of you guys will be more successful if we focus on our meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Sometimes I have 4 meals, which is kind of like, breakfast, kind of maybe 2 lunches. You could look at that as and a dinner or whatever. 3 to 5 meals per day is a good place to be. And then minimal snacking and grazing. Obviously, a Greek yogurt is a great snack, or bringing a banana, bringing a protein bar if you're on the go. Totally fine, totally approve. But the majority of the time, and what we're prioritizing and where we're getting the most of our calories when we zoom out and we look at our food log, is coming from meals, where we sit down and we have a fork and a plate or Tupperware, whatever, and we're eating a meal. Take your macro or calorie goal. So if you're tracking macros, if you're tracking protein, carbs, and fats, that's all you need to track. If you're still in the phase where you're tracking just calories or just calories and protein, take whatever that is and divide by how many meals you plan on having. So if you have a 2,000 calorie goal, you take 2,000 calories. Let's say you're having 4 meals, divide that by 4. You should have that many calories at each meal. You should know this number off the top of your head. Especially if you're tracking macros, your protein goal. You need to know how many grams of protein you need to have at each meal. It's going to help when you're eating out, so that you know what to pick. It's going to help every meal, every breakfast, every time you meal prep, every time you're cooking. You're going to know exactly how many grams of protein or carbs or fats or whatever it is, or calories that you need at each meal. So if you haven't done that, if you don't know this number off the top of your head, I'd highly recommend doing that. Your life is only going to get easier. Each meal should contain all 3 macros. So just like Journey said at the beginning, each meal should have a protein, a carb, and a fat source. When you log it, it needs to be a well-rounded meal. When we talk about like a balanced meal, a balanced diet, that's what that is. It needs to have a protein, a carb, and a fat source. If you're missing one or the other, you're just gonna be off at the end of the day, but also it's just prime for your digestion, for your blood sugar levels, meaning regulating your cravings and your energy levels throughout the day, if you just make sure you have a good ratio of all 3. Give yourself 3 to 4 hours between each meal to digest. And again, this is kind of going off of, we're not trying to snack and graze. Our digestion, it is much better if we give ourselves 3 to 4 hours of not eating food in between each meal, to fully let it digest and, go down, rather than kind of constantly consuming and grazing and eating little snacks here and there. And like I said, stop eating 2 hours before bed. This is for digestion, not because if you eat late at night, or you eat after 8 p.m. or you eat before bed, suddenly calories are quadruple and it's going straight to fat or whatever. None of that. But we're going to try to stop eating 2 hours before bed for digestion, so that we're in an upright position as we are digesting, rather than laying horizontally. That is really going to back you up. As well as, you're not going to be fully asleep if your whole digestive system is still working to breaking down food. Your body's not actually going to be like turned off and resting. Also, as this is kind of under meal timing, grocery shop and meal prep twice per week. If you can only do it once, that is okay. You must be very busy though. To be honest, if you are not grocery shopping and meal prepping, you're spending a lot more time cooking, buying food, going through drive-throughs, making each meal on the go, rather than, like, I cook once or twice per week. Okay, so in reality, I'm saving a lot more time. People say that meal prepping takes so much time. I don't have time to go to the grocery store. I don't have time to meal prep. Okay, well, I would get delivery groceries or pick up your groceries where you just drive by and they literally put it in your car. And then dedicate 1 hour to having the oven turned on, the air fryer turned on, and boiling your rice or using a rice cooker or whatever that looks like. Do all that. You can get meal prepping done in 1 hour, easy peasy, probably closer to 30, 45 minutes. And that is totally less time than making each meal, stressing out about each meal, not hitting your goals, not understanding why we're not making progress. Really prioritize grocery shopping and meal prepping. That is that first step we need to take in order to make sure that these meals that we're having hit all of these, things. I can't see what this says. What the heck? Foods to prioritize. Okay, so for hormones, if whether you're dealing with some kind of hormonal issue, maybe you're on birth control, maybe you're getting off birth control, maybe you have PCOS, or you're noticing some things and you're having a stipulation that hormones might be out of whack. Every woman would kind of benefit from these, would definitely benefit from these foods specifically. So specifically carrots will help with estrogen, as well as carrots have, how do you say, carotenoids, I think. Carotenoids, I don't know. Carrots basically help make your skin glow and make you look good, make you feel good, balance out estrogen. So I highly recommend incorporating carrots into your diet, as well as Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are a huge hit of selenium, which if you are on birth control, have ever been on birth control, any kind of birth control, even your non-hormonal birth control, in order for birth control to work, it has to deal with your hormones. So anyway, your selenium is being depleted. So I would definitely recommend incorporating Brazil nuts into your diet, maybe having 2 or 3 Brazil nuts per day. And again, everyone could benefit from taking these things. Egg yolks have all the minerals and the vitamins, everything amazing that we need from eggs. It's in the yolk. So if you are, prioritizing your hormones, I would highly recommend making sure that you're having at least 1 or 2 egg yolks per day. Cooked, of course, with your eggs. Don't be weird. Microgreens, you can add that on top of, salads or literally anything. You can garnish anything with microgreens. They just have a bunch of minerals and vitamins that, again, could be depleted or could add to making your hormones better, because your minerals and your vitamins play like a domino effect into your hormones. So even if they don't directly improve your hormones, they can improve vitamins that do. That's kind of the deal with salmon and avocado and just healthy fats in general, like avocado oil or olive oil. And then for gut health, so let's say if you're on antibiotics or you're on any kind of medication that's kind of tearing up your gut, or you're noticing that you're, having extreme bloating and, kind of any sort of gut health issues, SIBO, I would definitely recommend pre and probiotics naturally in food. Taking them as supplements is kind of a last resort if we have done everything on this list. So incorporating some sauerkraut, some kimchi, and probiotic yogurts. There's also probiotic cottage cheese. The brand Nancy's is really good. And then prebiotics, you can get these in bananas and asparagus and other foods, but these are just examples of literally the foods that I eat that I incorporate into my day to make sure I hit these things. So some ideas. And then fiber. So we want to make sure that we're having 15 to 30 grams of fiber per day. I try not to add too many numbers onto food just to try to, to have you track, but I would like you to keep an eye on your fiber every once in a while. Me and Sheena do check your fiber, so if that ever has been brought up to you, that's probably meaning you're having really low fiber or a lot of fiber. So being around 15 to 30-ish grams per day, depends person to person, will help with digestion. It will help with your stools. It will also help with balancing out, like if you're eating a shit ton of protein all of a sudden, if you just started coaching with us and you're eating 100 more grams of protein than you used to, and you're noticing it's affecting digestion, make sure we're pairing that with some fiber sources like dates, oats, apples, spinach, broccoli, almonds, pistachios. Again, there's a million other things that you can get fiber from, but this is just a short list. And then foods to prioritize foods that give you energy and that make you feel nourished. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're eating shitty foods and it's making you feel like shit, stop eating it. Prioritize foods that give you energy. Anything that you consume in your body or that you consume in general, whether that's media, relationships, friends, anything that you consume at all is either going to give you energy or deplete your energy. And I'd definitely be aware of that when it comes to food and Prioritize food that gives you energy. I would also recommend making sure you stock your freezer with frozen fruits, frozen veggies, and frozen protein sources. Like stock up on frozen salmon or frozen cod or frozen chicken or whatever, and a shit ton of veggies and whatnot, so that you never actually run out, right? So those weeks where you could not get to the grocery store. So instead of I had to eat out for every single meal, or, I had to eat all these different snacks and weird foods that I don't normally eat because of X, Y, and Z, keep your freezer stocked for emergencies like that. And then foods to minimize. Complex meals. By the way, when I say minimize, I do not mean demonize, eliminate. These are the things that are making your life terrible. Okay, these are just things we kind of want to keep an eye on and keep them to a minimum. So complex meals with tons of ingredients. Again, that's things where you look at the ingredient labels and it's just a whole shit ton, or you look at this and you're like, I have no idea what part of Earth this came from, like a Pop-Tart or something. Just keep things as simple as possible. Whole foods, shop in the produce and around the aisles and things like that. Avoid any oil basically that is not olive oil, coconut oil, or avocado oil. We do not want to be having excess canola oil, rapeseed oil, sunflower seed oil, none of these, soybean oil. Okay, so really prioritize just having oil from these 3 types of oils. Also really want to limit excess protein bars, protein waffles, Kodiak cakes, Dave's Killer Bread, Quest bars, Quest chips, protein shakes, etc. All of these things, okay? Keep those to a bare minimum. If we can get those out completely and hit your protein goal with whole foods, you'll be feeling like a brand new bitch, okay? Try to limit excess carbonated beverages if you're dealing with any kind of bloating or uncomfortable things in your gut, like Poppies or Olipops or kombucha or White Claws. If you're noticing that you have lots of bloating, you're not sure where it's coming from, that's usually one of the bigger things that I try to point out is, are we having a lot of carbonated beverages? And if not, let's try to limit it. Or if we are, let's try to limit it. As well as excess raw veggies. Our body just digests them better if they're cooked. So prioritizing cooked veggies over raw. And then try to limit eating out more than 1 meal per day. This is very generous. Most of my clients, I would like to see you only eating out for like 3 or 4 meals per week. But whatever the situation is, even if it's like, it's Gasparilla this weekend and everyone wants to get brunch beforehand, and then everyone's going to get Chick-fil-A afterwards and whatever the fuck. Try to only eat out 1 meal per day and have the rest of your meals at home. On a perfect day, again, you're not a piece of shit if you eat out 2 meals in a day. That's totally fine. These are just guidelines. And then I would try to minimize extremely highly palatable foods. Like, think about like Gushers or Airheads or your sugar-free white chocolate mocha from Starbucks. All of these things that just have a huge hit of flavor. Those are going to make you crave more highly palatable foods. And then it'll make things like pineapple and salmon and avocado seem flavorless because you're getting, you're kind of training your taste buds to crave and be super sensitive to just these highly palatable foods. So try to limit those things. And that's even if it's like sugar-free, like Halo Top ice cream or whatever, which I would never recommend. Just try to limit these extremely flavorful foods. Alcohol, it's a big one. That's one of the things that I would probably recommend cutting out if possible. And it don't have to be crazy. You don't have to identify as sober, but maybe most people know that you're probably going to deny a drink if you're out or whatever, as long as that's what fits your lifestyle. And again, you can have it. You're not going to ruin all your progress. You can absolutely do both. You can drink alcohol and you can see progress, but overall, let's try to minimize it. It will only help you. Alcohol is one of those things where there's literally zero benefit to it. But if the benefit that you need is liquid courage and to be social and to let loose, that's a huge benefit. So I get it, okay? And then let's minimize foods that don't give you energy, foods that take away your energy or don't make you feel nourished, make you feel like a blob, make you feel like the potato chip itself or whatever, okay? So that is it. That is all. How to set up your nutrition. Any questions? Anything that you were like, never heard of that before, interesting, I need further explanation, or anything that hits that you resonate with?
To me, it's makes I don't have a question. It just makes sense that like you're talking about Starbucks, and I love Starbucks and coffee and sugar. It's so bad. It's so bad. But since I started with Sheena, of course, Sheena was really big on because I just was consuming so much sugar. It was just awful. And since I really limited the amount of sugar that I take in, I feel like my I've been wondering why all these foods that I used to hate taste so good now. Like avocado. Oh my God, I love avocado so much now. And I used to hate it. Like hate it. I used to hate onions with a fiery passion, and I love onion. I could eat a raw onion, like honestly. And it makes sense because I really cut back, not cut out, but cut back the, like you said, like the flavor blasted, simple sugars.
Totally. Love that. Yeah, I agree. I can totally feel when I'm like, These whole foods feel flavorless," and it's probably because what have I been eating this whole week that's making the natural flavors of the world seem so dull. So yeah, and that kind of goes for anything like dopamine hit wise, if there's an example that I probably shouldn't use, but if you're just having like extremely high and like artificial senses of dopamine hits and whatnot, the real thing is gonna feel low. So making sure that you find that balance. I agree. Anybody else?
I
So
loved what
I
you. Oh,
no,
I'm
go ahead.
done. I was just gonna say that I love what you said about Starbucks. Used to be a
Yeah.
Starbucks girly, um, but I got a espresso machine at home, so like I stopped craving it at all, and then I went and I got it a few weeks ago, and just having it that one day, like I wanted it all week. It's so addictive, and it's just crazy, like how you cannot crave it at all, and then you have it one time, and then you're thinking about it like the whole week. So they put some crazy stuff in it, you guys. But great call, and Christina, your turn.
Sorry about that. I found here in Montana this place called Kava Roots. And it's really neat because it kind of gives you the buzz. I don't know if anyone else has tried it. It's this plant from Hawaii, I think it is, or like a derivative from a plant from Hawaii. It gives you the buzz, not the buzz of like being drunk, but kind of like that relaxation. So on Fridays, we all meet up and we go to Kava Roots and we have like a kava drink, and then you're still able to drive. It's not like you're drunk or anything, but you're just relaxed and chill. So I've substituted that for alcohol. I wasn't able to find a place when I went back home, Puerto Rico. But then also, I'm sure everybody has seen it. Apothecary, I think it's what it is. It's like drops that you put in like mixes or like in your soda, and it's kind of like substitute for alcohol as well, which I've noticed a lot lately that's it's a trend, but I think it's like a healthy trend to follow. Um, Being that now like our culture is all like driven by alcohol and like just fast foods and everything fast. And now I kind of like this new quote unquote trend because it kind of gets you like a different sort of quote unquote high. I hate using that word high, but it's that feeling of being relaxed and being able to like converse and like just be like quote unquote cool with everybody else while everybody's having their drink. If you decide not to, then you just have your own little mocktail with this um derivative of herbs and supplements, and it just it's kind of it helps you to um kind of let loose, like uh what she was saying in the presentation. So if anybody has seen the kava place or they want to try it, I would definitely recommend it. It kind of tastes gross the first time, but then you kind of get used to it. You get like that buzz feeling, you're feeling loose, you get to talking, you get to laughing, and it's pretty neat.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I am a big supporter of kava. I think it's a good alternative to alcohol, and kava bars are a lot more my speed than alcoholic bars. So I get that. Good recommendation. Love that, Christina. Cool.
I just want to tell everybody, and Sheena specifically, that I drank almost a whole gallon of water today.
Yay.
Very, very proud of myself. And was Sheena gonna say something?
I was gonna
I'm
say
sure.
I'm shocked, but I'm very, very proud of you.
I'm also shocked, and I'm actually still like thirsty. I mean, not like thirsty, but it doesn't even feel like I drank a like there's a whole
Did you
gallon of
drink?
water in me,
Did
or
you
like
drink
you know
your
what I mean, like my.
electrolytes? Did you get your
No, I
electrolytes
didn't
in
today.
there?
Just water.
That's why you're so thirsty.
Bree, I hope you're taking
Oh,
notes.
that makes sense. And I'll have to put electrolytes in my water tomorrow. And my pace for my 5K that I ran earlier was not 7:59, it was 7:06. Mike.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you on our call tomorrow. You are
I know.
amazing.
I'm
proud
very
of you.
excited.
I need to get that jug thing.
Yes, yes, she does. Post that in the Discord, Journey, please.
I will. It's literally from Amazon.
Beautiful. Like Brie, I'm looking at you.
I know.
All right, guys, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Love this call. It'll be posted in the Discord. And yeah, oh, I hope we can see you at yoga tomorrow. Yoga for stiffness. We'll be moving around, getting our joints all warmed up and relaxing. So see you then. Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.